Today we're diving into some fascinating excerpts from the life of Sri Ramakrishna. Specifically, we're looking at who he met and what we can learn from those interactions.
It's a great source for that. You get these snapshots of different people, different approaches to life, all bumping up against this incredible spiritual presence.
Right. So our mission, if you like, is to understand these different spiritual paths, or maybe just human paths, through his encounters. And the people involved are quite a mix.
Oh, absolutely. We've got a super wealthy Maharaja, a prominent nationalist editor.
And then others with, let's say, very specific spiritual goals. And some pretty obvious flaws, too.
Definitely. Makes it very human, very relatable in a way.
Okay, let's get into it. First up, Maharaja Jatindra Mohan Tagore.
Right. Big name in Calcutta back then. Very wealthy, known for being charitable. He visits Sri Ramakrishna at this garden house.
And the key thing, he brings up King Yudhishthira, from the Mahabharata, and his one lie.
Yeah, he uses it to question if worldly people like himself perhaps, can really pray earnestly. Like, see, even this great king faltered.
And Sri Ramakrishna's reaction wasn't exactly mild, was it?
Not at all. He apparently got quite irritated. He really rebuked the Maharaja, saying, essentially, hold on, you're focusing on one moment. He pointed out Yudhishthira's lifetime of truthfulness, his kindness, his deep commitment to scripture.
So don't cherry pick the negatives.
Exactly. Don't zero in on a single flaw and ignore the whole person, especially someone known for so much good. It's about seeing the bigger picture.
That's a powerful insight right there. It's so easy to do, isn't it? Just fixate on the one mistake.
It really is. So, lesson 1, perspective. Look at the whole canvas.
Okay, now let's shift completely. Babu Kristodas Pal.
A very different kind of figure. Editor of the Hindu Patriot. A major voice in the nationalist movement. Respected by, well, pretty much everyone, government, public.
And his conversation with Sri Ramakrishna took a totally different track. He wasn't questioning piety, he was questioning renunciation itself.
Yeah, pretty much. He argued quite forcefully, apparently, that the whole emphasis on renunciation in India was, actively harmful.
Harmful how?
He felt it was contributing to India being a subject nation, that the real need was for, material progress, education, building the nation up, practical stuff.
And he actually suggested Sri Ramakrishna should be telling young people to focus on that instead.
He did. He basically said, you should advise them to get involved in worldly pursuits and prove things tangibly.
Wow. And Sri Ramakrishna's response, I'm guessing he didn't just agree.
Not even close. The text says he disagreed strongly, called Pal's understanding poor. He really pushed back against dismissing renunciation, which is so central to the scriptures.
And that's where the crab analogy comes in.
Yes. That amazing image of newborn crabs tumbling into the Ganges. He uses it to show just how tiny and insignificant we are in the grand scheme of the universe. Who are we to think we can help the world?
So it's a critique of ego, of thinking we can fix everything ourselves.
Precisely. He questioned the idea that individuals can make this massive difference without first realizing God, without being empowered by something, bigger than themselves.
But he did acknowledge good deeds, right?
Yeah.
Feeding people, building things.
Oh yeah, he didn't dismiss those actions entirely. He said they have value, but he called them trifling, sort of small potatoes compared to the vastness of existence.
So good actions are okay, but they don't compare to inner realization.
That seems to be the core message. True, lasting help for the world, in his view, comes after you've done the inner work, purged the egoism, and are acting from a place of, divine authority, not just your own well-intentioned plans.
It sets up this really interesting tension, doesn't it? Inner work versus outer action. Where's the right balance?
Exactly. And what's the real source of active action? It definitely gives you something to chew on regarding how we approach trying to make a difference.
Okay, let's move to our next character. Mahima Charan Chakravarty. This guy sounds colorful.
Oh, he's quite something. An early visitor, clearly had spiritual aspirations, but also this huge craving for fame.
Which led to some odd behavior.
You could say that. The names, for starters. Prachya Arya Sikshakanda Parashat for his school, Mirgan Kamali Putatundi for his son. It's almost comical.
A bit over the top.
Just a bit. And claiming Agamacharya Dhammaravallabha as his guru, an initiation from Totapuri, which we know from Totapuri's own interactions with Sri Ramakrishna, that just didn't happen.
And the library, that detail is classic. All these books, English, Sanskrit, pages uncut.
Yeah, purely for show, right? Projecting this image of a great scholar.
And then the whole performance in the Panchavati Grove.
Right. On special days, he'd turn up in ochre robes, rudraksha beads, sitting on a tiger skin, looking the part of the great ascetic.
But then he'd leave the tiger skin in Sri Ramakrishna's room.
Well, the master saw right through that. He explained Mahima Charan left it there deliberately so people would see it, ask about it, and Mahima Charan would get attention as this great devotee who owned a tiger skin. It was all about the performance, seeking that external validation.
It's incredible. So much effort put into the appearance of spirituality.
Exactly. But interestingly, Sri Ramakrishna still saw some good. Mahima Charan would recite from the Vedas and scriptures.
And the master liked that.
He did. He seemed willing to encourage even, the faintest glimmer of genuine spirituality, even buried under all the pretense.
And he tried to guide him towards Vedanta.
Yes, despite seeing all the flaws, he tried to point him towards the real essence, acknowledging Mahima probably couldn't fully renounce the world, but urging him to at least give up attachment and practice real discipline.
And this leads to the critique of just reading books, right?
Yeah.
The market analogy.
That's a key point here. Sri Ramakrishna warned him against too much study without realization. He compared just reading scriptures to hearing a buzzing sound from far away. Something's happening, but you don't really get it. But actually reaching the market, having the direct spiritual experience, that's when you truly understand. It's not just intellectual.
So reading isn't enough. You need the practice, the experience.
Exactly. Spiritual exercises, faith in a guru, or if you don't have one, just intense, earnest prayer. That's what leads to actually knowing, not just knowing about.
The insight here feels pretty stark. Outward show versus inner reality. The danger of wanting to look spiritual more than being spiritual.
It really makes you pause and think, doesn't it? For yourself, I mean. Are you ever more focused on the appearance than the substance?
It's a challenging question, especially today. Okay, final figure. Pratap Chandra Hazra.
Right, Hazra. Lived at Dakshin's War for quite a while, apparently after some fleeting religious urge, but he'd left his family behind who depended on him.
And he looked pious, always telling beads.
Outwardly, yes, but the text suggests his secret hope was that people would see his devotion and help him out with his debts.
So a hidden agenda.
Seems so. Sri Ramakrishna apparently called him out on that selfish motive behind the prayers. True prayer needs to be purer than that.
And this guy, Hazra, despite not really knowing much scripture or having any deep experience, he set himself up as an authority.
Yeah, kind of puffed himself up, had his own independent thoughts, often contradicted Sri Ramakrishna, and apparently really bothered the young disciples by making fun of their devotion.
What was his angle? Advaita Vedanta.
He claimed to follow Advaita, the non-dual philosophy, but it sounds like he used it mostly as a tool for intellectual argument, to dismiss other forms of devotion rather than, for genuine self-inquiry.
Sri Ramakrishna called it barren argumentation.
Exactly. All talk, no substance. His presence was apparently quite negative, sort of thickened the plot, as the text puts it.
Yet, Sri Ramakrishna still showed him sympathy.
He did. Compassion, love, even amidst all the criticism, which is remarkable.
And Narendranath, the future Vivekananda, he actually debated Hazra.
Yeah, apparently Narendra enjoyed the intellectual sparring, and it was through Narendra's involvement that Sri Ramakrishna actually promised Hazra would find redemption at the end of his life, which is just incredible grace.
Wow. What about practical advice? Did Sri Ramakrishna offer any?
Oh, yes. Told him to be moderate in eating, not to be overly fussy about cleanliness, saying those things can actually block knowledge.
Interesting.
And crucially, not to speak ill of anyone, to sincerely pray to not have those negative thoughts or tendencies. He compared the intense longing we have for, say, family, with how little we often long for God.
That hits home. And the story about pleasing God, satisfying everyone. Krishna and Draupadi.
Right, that beautiful little story. Krishna eats 1 grain of rice offered by Draupadi, and the whole universe, including some hungry sages, feels satisfied. The point being, connect with the source, please God, and everything else falls into place.
It contrasts with just rote practice.
Absolutely. Sri Ramakrishna apparently noted Hazra just mechanically telling his beads, even in a place buzzing with potential for real illumination. He valued spontaneous, natural love for God over mere formal devotion.
So how did it end with Hazra?
Well, the story goes, Sri Ramakrishna eventually prayed to the Divine Mother, basically saying, if this man is a sham, please remove him. And shortly after, Hazra left Dakshin's War.
Suggesting the prayer was answered.
That's the implication, that the Divine Mother acted to protect the genuine spiritual atmosphere and teachings.
So Hazra's story really drives home the need for sincerity, doesn't it? The dangers of hypocrisy, of intellectual pride without real experience.
Definitely. And the importance of selfless motives. But also, again, Sri Ramakrishna's immense compassion and patience, even with someone so difficult.
And maybe the power inherent in that kind of spiritual presence.
Yes, that too.
Okay, let's quickly recap the main takeaways.
Sure. From the Maharaja, it's about seeing the whole person, not just fixating on flaws.
Right. From Kristodas Pal, that tension between inner work and outer action, spiritual versus material progress.
Mahima Charan warns us about outward show versus inner authenticity in spiritual life, performance versus reality.
And Hazra underlines the absolute need for sincerity, pure motives, and avoiding that trap of intellectual argument without real experience.
Exactly. 4 very different people, 4 very different sets of challenges and lessons, all drawn out through their contact with Sri Ramakrishna. It shows his wisdom in dealing with each one individually.
It really does. So for you listening, here's something to think about. Which of these characters resonates most with you? Maybe not entirely, but is there a bit of the Maharaja's critical eye in how you see others?
Or maybe sometimes you feel that pull Kristodas Pal felt towards prioritizing external achievements over inner quiet.
Do you ever catch yourself, like Mahima Charan, wanting recognition for your efforts, maybe even spiritual ones? Or, like Hazra, perhaps struggle with keeping your motivations truly pure and avoiding empty arguments?
Yeah, just reflecting on which story kind of pings something in you.
Well,
it can tell you a lot about your own priorities, your own potential pitfalls.
And maybe point towards a more balanced, more authentic way forward. Lots to consider there.
Definitely.
Thanks for diving deep with us once again.
I hope you like this chapter. We need volunteers and sponsors to create content with even better quality and with more variety. If you wish to join this initiative as a volunteer or sponsor, please click the links given in description below. To help us reach more viewers, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Biography Central. Thank you for your time. It means a lot. Namaste.